So to introduce this lesson, I'm going to pose this question to you. If I'm given a triangle like this, is there anything that we've done so far in this unit or this semester that we could use to find side AC? And the reason why the answer is no is, first and foremost, this is not a right triangle. So that throws Pythagorean theorem and all of the trig identities we've been working on out the window, because those only work for a right triangle. So right now, I'm kind of left out in the cold because I don't have any techniques yet that I could use to find this missing side. However, using the law of sines, what that allows us to do is make a ratio of the sides and the sines of each of those corresponding angles, and that can give us the opportunity to find a missing side or a missing angle. And if you notice, the angle that's labeled A is opposite from the side labeled A. So when I talk about the sine of A over A or the sine of B over B, it's the angle that is opposite from the side that's labeled, or vice versa. So the first question we're going to look at, if I'm asking you to use this picture and find AB, so I have to figure out how exactly I would use the law of sines to set up this ratio or this proportion. So I have, ultimately, this is what I'm trying to find. I'm going to label that X. I have this angle that's 44, which I'm labeling B, which is across from the side that's labeled as 7 units. And then I have the angle of 53 degrees that's across from the side that I'm trying to find X. So in this case, I have angles that correspond with sides that I've been given. So I can set up my fractions and say that the sine of 44 divided by 7, because that's the side that matches up with that angle, is equal to the sine of 53 divided by X. And at this point, I'm set up to use my problem-solving skills to find X and solve for X. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to cross multiply. And if you remember, the sine of any angle is just a number, so I'm going to keep that in mind because that's going to help me manipulate my equation. So I would have X times the sine of 44 is equal to 7 times the sine of 53 after my cross multiplication. And since the sine of 44 is just a number, I can now divide by the sine of 44 on both sides, which would give me X all by itself, being equal to 7 times the sine of 53, all divided by the sine of 44. Now I'm set up where I can enter all of this into my calculator at once. So I'll bring the large calculator screen up so you can see what's going on. I'm going to make my calculator actually do a fraction for me, and I'm going to manipulate my calculator that way. So I'm going to do 7 times the sine of 53 and divide that by the sine of 44. And don't forget, since all of the angles we're dealing with are in degrees, I have to double check and make sure my calculator is in degree mode, which mine is, so we're good. So I can now hit enter, and it tells me that the side AC that was missing is 8.05 units long. So in this case, I would say X is equal to, what did I just say? 8.05 units. So that's an example of how to find a missing side. Cursor's in the way, so let me move that. And I'm going to give you an example that we actually started with at the beginning of this lesson, and I'm going to leave this up to you for the evening. And we will discuss this when you come back to class tomorrow. So your mission is to find side AC using the law of sines from this video. And if you have specific questions, make sure you bring those with you tomorrow to class as well.